Yo, what's up, everyone? Back for the Saturday slate. We only have a 4-game slate tonight, but let's get into it. You can drop a like down below, subscribe if you have not already as well. All 4 games will be tipping off by 8:30, so it won't be a late night if you live on the East Coast like I do. Starting off here at point guard, there's still a lot of injury news on this slate that we're waiting on, even though it's only 4 games. Like the JaVale McGee news is going to be pretty important, as will the DeAndre Jordan news. And the Thunder might be resting Gallinari. He hasn't really played on back-to-backs this year. So there's a lot of news to come out. As always, I'll update, and I might even be able to post a video this afternoon if we get some of the news in time. But starting off here at point guard, it's LeBron looks good at 10-4. Irving looks fine at 87. I don't know if I will pay that much for him, just because there are some cheaper options like a Shai Gilgeous, 76, a Derrick Rose, 75, a Chris Paul. And when Chris Paul and Schroeder are priced this similar, I would play Chris Paul 10 times out of 10 just because I still love Schroeder, but I usually like when he's cheaper than Paul by like a couple $100 at least. And then I don't mind Chris Dunn at 58 either at this position. And then Reggie Jackson, he could also be resting. He's played pretty heavy, pretty heavy amount of minutes, 19 and 23. He hasn't really been on a restriction. I mean, it's not a lot of minutes, but he's been productive. I don't think he's gonna play on a back-to-back after he missed all that time. But keep an eye on that. But at point guard here, I think Derrick Rose looks pretty good here at 75, especially if Jackson does indeed sit. He's just been running the show for them offensively. He's been super consistent ever since he's jumped into the starting lineup. You've seen a lot of 40-point games and high 30-point games, mid 30-point games. He's not going to really kill you at this price. It's a great matchup against the Nets, and they're at home. We don't know what's going on with Drummond and his lip injury. Maybe he's just trying to get traded. But Derrick Rose has looked really good. He has like 20-plus points in a bunch of his games in a row. Been racking up assists as well. I like him a lot at 7,500. At shooting guard, I'm not really interested in Zach LaVine at 92. That's just pretty expensive. You're going to need, when he's 92 and Shai Gilgeous is 76, you basically need LaVine to score 10 more fantasy points at least than SGA to make it worth it. And SGA's just been playing so well, especially if Gallinari does indeed rest on a back-to-back, then he looks great at 76. And then I would say, and then you're basically having a big drop-off after you get past Wiggins. So Wiggins is in play at 7,000. And then for value here, the Sixers are pretty short-handed. Take a look at like Korkmaz. Going to have to play quite a bit of minutes. It's a tough matchup. But between Korkmaz and Thibault, there's a lot of minutes to go around with Josh Richardson missing a bunch. Going to miss a couple weeks, and with still Embiid out. This also could be a game where the Sixers just get smoked, because I don't know if Ben Simmons is going to be able to do anything in this type of matchup against a big Lakers team. He's not going to be able to drive to the rim as easily as he wants. So I don't know if I'll have a ton of exposure to the Sixers or to the Lakers. Besides like LeBron, obviously, but I think SGA looks great at 76. He's just at a good price point. Super productive, playing 37 to 39 minutes here. Even in a blowout, he saw 37 minutes, so they're giving him a lot of run, and he's been super productive. Over at small forward here, LeBron looks fine. I don't think I'll have much of Simmons. I'd just probably take a stand here at this price. He's 9,400. It's a good price with all the injuries, but the Lakers obviously know how to defend a guy like Simmons, and they have the matchups and the size to do it with Dwight Howard and Davis there if they start, or if McGee and Davis starts, and LeBron. So there's a lot of size on the Lakers. I will kind of like Tobias Harris more just because 7,100, he's going to shoot a lot more. His minutes are still going to be high. So I kind of prefer him over Simmons, point per dollar wise. But I'm liking some Chris Dunn here, 5,800. I think he's played only 27 minutes. It was a blowout, so he saw like 5 fewer minutes. He was been playing pretty well as of late, and with all the injuries, there's just more minutes to go around for the other players. With Markkanen out, that's one of the higher usage guys on the team missing some time, so it's going to be more minutes for Chris Dunn, and he should, or even if it's not more minutes, it should be consistent minutes in the 32 to 33-minute range. It's a great matchup against the Cavs. They are one of the worst teams in the league against point guards, and They also do cough the ball up at a high rate, and Chris Dunn is a tremendous defender with averaging 2 steals per game in just 25 minutes of action. So this could be a spot where he gets like 3 or 4 steals against a very turnover-prone Cavs team. At power forward, I like Davis's price, but I don't know if he's going to see the minutes. I would say that like Tobias looks fine, 71. Gallinari, I don't know if he's going to play. He hasn't played on a back-to-back I don't know if he's probably played earlier this year, but he's missed like the last 3 or 4 back-to-backs. The second half of them he sat out for rest. He only did play 28 minutes of action, so there's a chance that he will play again tonight. And if that's the case, then I would have a lot of interest in him. It's just a good price and there's not a lot of options on this slate. It's a great matchup as well. I like Al Horford at 65. One of my favorite Sixers just because they're going to need his size out there. He's been struggling just scoring the basketball, but he's still been productive just because he's giving you rebounds, he's giving you assists as well. But another value play that's tough not to play is Thaddeus Young. Gonna see around 30-plus minutes now that Markkanen's going to miss a lot of time. He should probably start. I could see them starting Felicio instead of one of Young or Cornette just to match up to Tristan Thompson because I don't know if Thompson's is a good matchup for Cornette. Cornette's not going to be able to really slow him down. And if they do start Cornette and Young, then Thompson should be able to feast against Cornette if he's playing center against him. Speaking of center, Karl Anthony Towns is 10,000. His minutes have been down. He hasn't really seen 35 consistent minutes since he's been back. He saw that once against Denver, but only 28 minutes in a relatively close game against Houston. Maybe they didn't want to just play him too much in a back-to-back situation. I would say that Al Horford looks great at 65, and this Steven Adams news is pretty important. I don't know if he's in, then that just makes Nerlens Noel not really a play anymore. It makes him a little bit interesting at this price, just really cheap in a decent matchup it's a pretty good matchup against the Timberwolves. Same thing goes for Jared Allen. If DeAndre Jordan's out, then he would become interesting. So there's some news that we have to wait on. And then Tristan Thompson price tag took a huge dip on DraftKings, $1,400. He's going to be a play. It was frustrating last game. He lost a lot in playing time because Larry Nance came off the bench and played really well. So that's definitely something that can happen. Larry Nance took a lot of his minutes away, and he only saw 21 minutes. But more times than not, when he's playing well, he's going to see the minutes. And I don't think Larry Nance is going to be able to replicate his performance that he had last game every time out. So it should still be consistent minutes for Tristan Thompson, but they could see a little bit less minutes going forward if Larry Nance does continue to play well off the bench, and he played so well that he saw 28 minutes. So those are the plays basically. And then Dwight Howard, if JaVale McGee is out, then he would just be the guy that I plug in at center, just because you know exactly what you're going to get against against Al Horford matchup there. Right now, don't know any of the injuries, so I would say Al Horford looks great. Just 65, he's cheap. He's going to play a lot of minutes, and he's going to be productive. At least you can count on that, I would assume. And then over at guard here is where I kind of like Chris Paul at 7,000. He's just at a great price point. In back-to-back situations, he's been pretty good in the second half. So far this year, he put up a 47 spot against Portland in only 28 minutes. He's followed that up, before that he had like 42 against Houston. Oh, that wasn't a back-to-back. He had 44 against Brooklyn in a back-to-back. So he does play pretty well in these situations. Even though he is older, he doesn't really, he's not like he's fatigued and not trying in the second half. So especially if they do, like I mentioned, rest Gallinari, then it should be a little bit more usage for Chris Paul. I like playing him and SGA together. They're both pretty cheap, and they both have big-time upsides. And I like playing the Thunder players just because the production comes from basically 4 guys. It's Paul, SGA, Schroeder, and then Gallinari, and then whoever plays center is a little bit productive. But if you're taking one of those guys out, then the other 3 will just benefit by playing more, not more minutes, but by just getting more usage and more opportunities and more shots. So that's DraftKings. And Fanduel here, it's definitely Chris Paul at 74. It's Derrick Rose at 68. They're a couple of my favorites. And then I would also mention Chris Dunn at just 5,500. And also Darius Garland is so cheap, but the minutes are going to be there. If he has one of his outlier games, he can pay off the salary by putting up like a 30-point spot. So I'd also mention him. But Derrick Rose is a little too cheap on Fanduel at just 6,800 for how well he's been playing, especially if they are missing a couple of bodies again tonight, like if they rest Jackson and if Drummond, if his lip is still infected or whatever it is. I don't know what's going on. But Derrick Rose looks great either way. That's just 6,800. At shooting guard here, Zach LaVine is definitely more playable on DraftKings with the huge separation between him and SGA. It would be SGA. I would play like 10 times out of 10 on FanDuel. It can kind of be more of a coin flip. They're both priced similarly. LaVine has a great matchup against Cleveland. He hasn't really gone off in a while. I think he's probably due for like a big game, like a 50-point game. So keep him on your radar. I would definitely have interest there. And then with the huge price discrepancy between like SGA and Schroeder, I like Schroeder quite a bit on FanDuel at just 6,200. And you could play Dinwiddie as well. He's only 6,400, but with like a Kyrie back and with LeVert, probably going to see a little bit more minutes every game. There's going to be like, I don't know what the ceiling will be for Dinwiddie. He can easily get you 36 to like 40, but is he ever going to get like a 50-point game again? Or I don't think so with all those guys back. But I like Dennis Schroeder. He's just so cheap on FanDuel, the productive, and been so productive lately. Another game where he didn't get any blocks or steals, that is like 5 in a row. But even without those like buffer stats, he's still been great in terms of just scoring and racking up assists as well. It's a great matchup against the Timberwolves, a pace-up spot. And yeah, I just like him a lot at the price. Small forward here, I like LeBron at 10.9. He's just really cheap on FanDuel. He's tough not to... He's also cheap on DraftKings, but FanDuel at this position, there's not a lot to like, so definitely he's a pay-up option. If Gallo's in, I like him a lot at 62. And then my value play would probably be like Prince at just 4,700. He's cheap. Going to see a decent amount of minutes every night. He's going to play around 30 minutes. And at this price, he can easily make value at that. Then if you wanted to punt, it would be for like Matisse Thybulle at 4,100. That's a fine play, but right now I would say that probably Tobias looks good, 7,200, just because there's a lot of usage to go around without Josh Richardson, and still Embiid is out, so it's a tougher matchup, but compared to Simmons, I think he has a better matchup just overall. At power forward, it's going to be like, if you're paying up for Horford or Love, I kind of prefer to Love at 71 against Chicago. Jared Allen would be only a play for me if DeAndre Jordan is out again, then he would be a pretty good option at power forward. You still got some value here. Nerlens Noel if Steven Adams misses a third straight game. And then you also got Thaddeus Young is too cheap here on FanDuel at that price. He's cheap on both sides, so he's got to be one of the guys that you're kind of building your lineup around. Not building a lineup around just him, but one of the first guys you kind of plug into your cash lineup at least. And then center is really easy for me today on FanDuel. It's going to be either one of Tristan Thompson, Dwight Howard, or Steven Adams. If Adams is in, I like him a lot. If McGee's out, then it's Howard is going to be my favorite option. If Adams plays and McGee plays, then it would be Adams, and then Thompson would be the third guy, just because there's a chance that he loses some minutes because of Larry Nance, and and they also have his backup back in John Henson. So that's kind of what I'm looking at here. If I just had to plug one in right now, it would be Howard, but just keep in mind that if McGee plays, it's going to be Tristan Thompson. So that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. You can drop a like if you enjoyed, and good luck tonight.